All right, so we are here to compare and contrast photosynthesis and respiration. And so I'm going to start with photosynthesis. I'm going to do it in green, just because plants, green, all that. And I'm just going to start by going with the reactants. So what are some things we put into photosynthesis? We need to put in water is a reactant, and CO2 is a reactant. Okay, products include my brain just froze, oxygen gas, which is a waste product, and also that 3-carbon, which you could call G3P, or you could just fast forward to where it joins with another one and say glucose. It occurs in the thylakoid of the chloroplast. It requires pigments. It uses the electron carrier NADP plus or NADPH. Whoops, DPH. I may think of some more as we're going, so I'm going to stop there and jump over to respiration. For respiration, our reactants are glucose and oxygen. You could also say sunlight is a reactant over here for photosynthesis if you wanted to. Products are water and CO2. It occurs in the mitochondria, well, most of it. Mitochondria, and we'll put cytosol because glycolysis occurs in the cytosol. This one only has really 2 steps. This one has 4. You could also say 3.5 because some people don't really call pyruvate oxidation a step. It uses the electron carriers NAD plus, or you could just say NADH, and FAD plus plus or FADH2. Okay, let's look at some boths. They both deal with energy transformations. What we mean by that is you start, hold on, let me see if I can squeeze this in there. You start with radiant energy here. You go through all kinds of different transformations, electrical energy, potential energy, chemical energy. Over here, you start with chemical, and you go to, at some point, potential energy with that gradient and back to chemical. So there are some energy transformations. They are both metabolic pathways, which just means they're made up of chemical reactions. You could say that this is anabolic, meaning it builds up, whereas respiration is catabolic, meaning it breaks down. Both have an electron transport chain and chemiosmosis. Okay, that's in oxidative phosphorylation for respiration, and it's in the light-dependent reactions for photosynthesis. They both use ATP synthase to produce ATP. I just thought of another difference, but it just left my head again. Maybe it'll come back. Photosynthesis only occurs in plants and some bacteria, whereas respiration happens in everybody. Gosh, wish I could remember what. They both have or use hydrogen ions to form a gradient. That wasn't what I was going to say a minute ago, but it works. That's a pretty good list. So you might have others you've added. Trust yourself. You know if they're right or not. But like I said, there are some others because there was another one I thought for both, and it's now left my head. So if you have questions about any of these, let me know. But otherwise, I think that's a pretty good list there. I think for your project, you had to have 6 on each side and at least 4 in the middle. So that meets that criteria. Although at this point, you should have already done your project. So this should be coming out after the project is due.